What's a secret you'll never tell your partner but are willing to tell strangers on Reddit? NSFW. Story 1. When I was 14, my grandma passed away. For years, I had been bothering my parents for my own gold necklace. Well, Gram had a little bit of money and she gave me the $300 for a gold necklace in her will. It was my pride and joy. I had it around my neck for 17 years before I met my wife. It was off my neck maybe 3 times in those 17 years. My wife, then girlfriend, knew how much it meant to me and asked to wear it once. Well, it never came home. She had lost it somewhere or it had gotten stolen. I was distraught like crazy for 3 or 4 days while we turned our house upside down looking for it. Inevitably, I gave up, but she was very bothered by it all. So, I decided to go to a pawn shop and buy the closest I could get to an exact duplicate, and then I told her that I had found the necklace in the couch cushions. To this day, she thinks that I found my necklace from my grandmother, but this is actually version 2. Story 2. Whenever she's not home, I let the dog onto the bed and take a really comfy nap. I set an alarm for an hour and kick the dog off and clean the fur off before she ever gets home. I've been doing this for nearly 3 years now. Story 3. My partner doesn't know how bad my mental health really is. She knows I've reached out for support, but doesn't know the extent of help I'm seeking. I just can't bring myself to say those words to her. Story 4. One time we had half a container of ice cream left. I had a craving. I ate a bowl, then another. Then I decided to finish the tub to destroy the evidence. Then I realized she would notice that there was no ice cream left. So I went to the store, bought another tub, and then ate that one down to the same level. This was a gallon tub. Story 5. My husband loves talkative cats. When we first got our kittens, I gave them a treat every time they made a meow or chirp. Since I was working from home, they ended up becoming very vocal. He still goes on about how lucky we are to have such talkative cats in a weekly basis. Story 6. Her actions and her words are 2 different worlds. She says she wants something while she is doing the exact opposite. It's her business up to here. The problem is that she's putting a lot of pressure on me because of her words and actions. This part is my problem and have to solve it. I need to stop worrying about her and just mind my own business. Story 7. My wife shit while delivering our son. Something she was terrified she would do. The nurse cleaned up very quickly and gave me a look that needed no explanation. I never said a word. She talked after delivery about how happy she was that didn't happen to her. I'll let her keep that peace of mind for life. Story 8. Before our children were born, over 20 years ago, the topic of pooping during labor was covered extensively in the classes we took, along with the fact that the mucus plug is a thing and don't freak out should you see it as you go into labor. Basically, they said, the longer you try to avoid pooping, the longer your delivery is going to take. You need to relax those poop muscles to get the baby out, so just let poop happen. The baby isn't coming out until any poop you may have inside is also released. Our nurse tried to deal with it discreetly, then she gagged, almost vomited, and had to excuse herself while another nurse took over. I'm not sure if it was her first labor and delivery poop or if my wife's poops were extra rank that afternoon. Story 9. Sometimes I just sit in my car outside work or our apartment for 20 to 30 minutes because I need some time alone. I have my mind full to the brim at work and rarely get time in the house alone. Sometimes I just need it to be quiet and not have to pay attention to anything. Story 10. When I play video games and my wife isn't here, I narrate what I do and respond to fake questions from a non-existent chat like I'm some kind of big shot streamer. I even look at a fake camera when something happened, lol. If you made it this far, please consider pressing the subscribe and like button. Now continue to the video. Story 11. The reason I wasn't hungry that one day in Dublin was because when I stayed behind to get ready while she waited in the lobby, I ate the entire box of leftover chicken wings that we took home from the restaurant the day before. I ate 15 cold, oily chicken wings in about 5 minutes at 9 a.m. before heading out for breakfast. Story 12. My wife hates her dad more than anything. We haven't talked to him much after he refused come to our wedding 2 years ago since he thinks she could do better than me. She is like him in so many ways, I would never have the heart to tell her. Story 13. Our cat didn't break the towel rack. I did. I was pretending to be fighting zombies and grabbed it and ripped the goddamn thing off the wall. I heard her coming to check out the noise and looked down at my cat. She came into the bathroom to me asking my cat, "Why did you think the towel rack could hold your weight? You silly cat." Story 14. I never paid for her engagement ring. I went to a custom jeweler to have her ring made. It's a beautiful piece, and she loves it dearly, and it certainly wasn't cheap, appraised and insured for around $10,000. The jeweler was dealing with a lot of family issues at the time, and was incredibly disorganized. I went to pick up the ring and brought my checkbook to pay for it, and when she handed me the ring I took it out and asked her who to make the check out to. She said, "Oh no, don't worry about it right now, just send me a check in the mail." I thought that was strange, but sure, okay. She then hurried off to help another customer and I left. But she never told me what the final price was. For the next 6 months, I texted and called. Her shop was a few hours away from where I live, so it wasn't feasible to stop by and handle it in person. I tried for 6 months, but after that I stopped calling/texting and just figured I got the ring for free. I wouldn't tell my spouse, because I don't want her to think I took advantage of the situation or that somehow the ring isn't as meaningful because I didn't pay for it. Story 15. Used to go to this pizza place in Philly, beautiful wood-fired stone oven pizza. It always seemed to have FOB Italians there, so to speak, and usually young guys. Anyway, they had the absolute best pies, and stuff like goat cheese and bacon. Gourmet quality ingredients and preparation. The weird part was that it was cash only, and the owner routinely gave me a free beer, despite me not being anywhere close to a regular. So you'd hit the ATM, and the meal would be $26 without tip, and I'd go to hand the guy a pair of 20s. He'd then fucking give me one back, like WTF dude. He also had a completely inordinate amount of security cams, like 6 cameras covering all entrances or exits. Story 16. When I asked my future FIL for permission, I went to his house and knocked on the front door, and he kept not coming to the door. I knew they were home and kept knocking. When he came to the door, I asked if I could come in and he asked what I wanted. I showed him the ring and asked him through the screen door. That's when his whole persona changed. He hadn't recognized me after 3.5 years initially, and thought I was the local church people going door to door. When it all finally clicked, he welcomed me in, but it's still a funny story that he purposely didn't answer for a few minutes because he thought I was LDS door-to-door church person. Story 17. I've broken your personalized cup your sister got you 3 times. I recreated the design on Paint and got some screen printing stall at the mall to print it on the cup. Each time it looks a little bit different in #128514. Story 18. Every time we're playing Yahtzee and she asks, "Do I have one more roll or was that 3?" I always say one more regardless of the truth. Story 19. That time I asked you if I could have the last cookie. I implied there was only one left when there was actually 2. I wanted both of them and didn't want to share. They were delicious and I have no regrets. Story 20. That she killed a cat. She's very much a cat person. Once she picks me up from a friend's house and driving through town, a cat ran in front of us and we heard a thud underneath the car. She screamed and looked in the rearview mirror and we seen the cat stagger into a driveway. She was very upset and convinced she killed it. I told her no, the cat clearly ran across the street and is probably fine. She was meeting some friends and I was taking the car home, so she said would I check the driveway of that house on my way home to make sure the cat was okay. I said I would. I drove back that way and parked a few houses down and looked in the driveways and there it was, lying motionless, sprawled out on the ground. Oh shit. Part of me was thinking just go home and say. The problem was it was a gated house that was also a B&B, so I didn't want to just wander in on someone else's property, so I rang the phone number on the sign at the side of the road. By this stage I'm thinking, what the hell are you at? You should have been home long ago, but I was on autopilot and just went with it. The owner answers and I tell him there's a possibility dead cat in your drive. Do you mind if I come in just to check it's okay? The guy is like, yeah, I guess. It's just I'm out of town and there's no one here, but it's fine if you want to let yourself in the side gate. He also says thanks, so at this point I have to do it. I'm too far in now. I let myself in and walk over and there she is, a big dead cat. Oh balls, well I'll just tell my wife the cat wasn't there and we can forget about the whole thing, except the owner now knows there could be a dead cat on his property, and when he gets home and sees it lying there he's got my number and will know I just left it there. So now I have to make a decision. Do I leave this dead cat here or do I take it away, and if I do, what do I do with it? Across the street is a store, so I walk over and buy bin bags and rubber gloves, make my way back over and scoop the fluffy corpse into a bin bag. Now I got a dead cat in a bag. I walk over to my car carrying this black bin bag. People are walking past me on the street, smiling and giving that upwards nod that strangers give. I give a nod back, but I'm not fully into it because they don't know I'm walking past them with a dead cat in a bin bag. I don't feel like taking it into my car because, it's a dead cat. So I Google vets and there happens to be one not too far away, walking distance. I ring and ask them do they dispose of dead pets. They said they do. So I make my way down there, and through the front door and ask the receptionist, was I just talking to them about pet disposal? She looks at me slightly freaked and says yes. I produce the bag and say, oh well I have a cat here, and can I just give it to her? She's like, yeah you just leave it at our back door back outside, and charges me 50 quid for the pleasure. I walked back to the car, and sat there for at least half an hour, in silence and as still as a dead cat trying to process the last hour of my life. I text my wife and say no honey, couldn't find the cat, she must be fine and ran off somewhere safe, see you at home XXX. Story 21. My nieces don't like the aquarium. I just constantly took them there because I thought my now girlfriend, who works there, was pretty and thought if she saw me constantly taking them it'd lead to us talking. Story 22. I have ridiculously complex and drawn-out arguments with myself when no one's around. One of the me's is pretty cool, the other one is kind of a dick. Edit, just to add, I'm not sure which one is the real me. Story 23. A former boyfriend of mine had a cat that he didn't treat very well. He never abused the cat, he just had depression and would get frustrated at the cat easily and not play with it enough. One time the cat knocked down his favorite plant and broke the pot, spilling soil everywhere. I took the blame, dealt with home being a little bitchy at me, just to make sure he didn't get further upset at the cat. Never told him. Cat got rehomed, under his mature decision, and is doing very well. Story 24. My husband complains about being in pain so much that I feel like there's no room for me to be in pain. And sometimes I really resent that. I have a chronic health condition that I have no choice but to manage well because he wouldn't know what to do if he had to care for me like I have to care for him. Sucks, but it is what it is. ETA, sorry to hear this is so common. My partner is otherwise lovely and I've told him before, no need to beat a dead horse. To me it's a small part of a big and full relationship, so it's just something I live with. Story 25. My GF kinda did this to me. She's someone that frequently has problems, be they physical or mental. I'm usually the one getting things done and holding her together. The flip side is on the rare occasion in which I need help I feel like she resents me for it. A couple months ago I had a bad flu, fever, puking, diarrhea, the whole deal. As I'm languishing on the couch she says something along the lines of I like when guys are sick, the world just has to stop turning for them. I'm like, I literally haven't asked you for anything, I just want to rest while I'm sick? The fuck? Edit, to clarify people expressing concern, we have an overall happy and supportive relationship. This negative snapshot is an exception and not a rule in our relationship. Partners can sometimes do or say things that are kind of insensitive or inconsiderate to someone they love. That's just part of being human. I know I have my moments that wouldn't make me look great in isolated incidents either. But part of being adults is that during these moments we talk about it and communicate how those comments make us feel. In the aforementioned incident it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the shitty job she worked at the time. They would guilt people for calling in for any reason because they refused to hire adequate staff. To anyone expressing concern, I appreciate y'all. You're just trying to make sure a person isn't being taken advantage of in a relationship, and that comes from a very empathetic place, but we're a-okay, I pinky promise. Story 26. What I actually paid for my woodworking tools. Edit, obligatory RIP inbox. As a few have pointed out, this absolutely applies to pretty much any hobby. And I'll put it here since so many are asking, but I don't actually keep track of how much I've spent over the years, but just the big expensive ones, I remember I'm over 5K already. Then all the smaller tools, chisels, hand planes, and ultimately I should include the cost of running a 220V single-phase outlet for my jointer end. More than I really want to admit to myself. But the joy and sense of accomplishment I get on the completed pieces are worth every penny spent. It really is my happy place. Story 27. That he legit saved my life. He's a nervous, humble guy who doesn't like undue pressure or praise, so I keep it to myself just how bad off I was before he showed up. Because even in the aftermath of my mom's death and even in the face of some pretty nasty health problems, which I was just letting slide because I was so depressed I was kind of hoping they'd kill me, I was very, very good at smiling and being charming. 3 years of taking care of a terminally ill parent taught me how to smile and bear it and feign positivity even when you're running on empty. And I never felt like I could be anything other than the fixer. The doer. The person who always knows what to say. The reliable one. They who has every answer and can make bad feelings go away by just fixing the problem for you. I was not allowed to be negative. Ever. But he legit came in and helped me with mom's estate and cheerleaded me into getting it. And he just kind of did it. In his mind it was nothing much because you were on the right track, but you had a lot on your plate and needed help, smiley face. And I just nod and agree because what else do I say? I actually wasn't. I was just going to let myself die because I was exhausted and miserable, smiles aside. Thanks for intervening. Story 28. Oh man, me and my wife both felt this way at the start of the year. You just have to buckle down and both get back into it. We just told each other we are getting older and have to take our health more seriously. Looking better naked is a great side effect. Best decision we've made in a long time. 7 months into this year, we have both dropped around 30 pounds each. We are happier, have way more energy and way more sex.